Exclusive contract novel from Feilu Novel Network. Military Tycoon. From cyber corporation to global oligopoly, unemployed wanderer Chen Xuan unexpectedly holds the cybersecurity system for end users. At the beginning, we obtained the Cyberpunk 2077 enterprise template and established a monopoly enterprise from scratch. Arazaka, Kalushi Optics, Dongyue Electronics. Chen Xuan chose to start his military monopoly from the private security giant Trauma Group. Recruit Task Force 141 and establish a trauma team. After the establishment of the group, the first customer turned out to be a little girl. And the task goal is to protect her mother's safety. A few days later, at the crime scene, Rand's undercover agent identity was accidentally exposed, resulting in a gunshot wound to his body. At the critical moment, a group of burly and fully armed mercenaries appeared. Quickly and cleanly killing the criminals, Enran was rescued from danger like lightning. May I ask? Who sent you here? Your daughter has purchased a platinum membership for your trauma group, and from now on, we will ensure your life safety. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Cyber End Producers, Seeking Flowers. Seeking Comments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Cyber Terminators. Young man, you don't have much professional skills. And the education level is not high enough to meet the recruitment standards. You better go take a look elsewhere. Yungang City, Talent Market. Faced with a rejection from an interviewer, Chen Xuan let out a long sigh. This is already his 12th company interview rejected. Damn it, it's a bit difficult to find a job now. Chen Xuan cursed inwardly. This is already the 3rd month of his graduation internship. Most of the classmates who graduated together in the class have already found suitable positions. Only Chen Xuan and a few sporadic people are still unemployed. Ding 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 ding. Chen Xuan's phone vibrated. It's a message from the class group. Do you have any classmates who haven't found a job yet? My company is still recruiting construction workers. Wow. It's Kuan-gu. Having a company at home is different. Is Kuan's company still short of people? I'll go, rich man, let's be friends. Kuan-gu doesn't have a partner yet, right? Let me introduce you to one. Looking at the various sentient beings in the group, Chen Xuan let out a long sigh. What a different fate for the same person. It truly fulfills the saying, some people are in Rome, while others are mules and horses. Actually, he is a traveler. In the previous world, he used to be a small anchor specializing in live streaming single-player games. Mainly live streaming large-scale single-player games such as Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Elden Ring. Later, he died suddenly in front of the camera due to continuous live streaming for too long. Until now, Chen Xuan still remembers the game he was playing before his sudden death. Cyberpunk 2077. Later, I traveled to this world. Chen Xuan realized that he had become a loser. 1 without background, 2 without ability, and 3 without appearance. A typical youth with 3 no's. He also wanted to return to his old job. Live single-player games. But to my surprise, these games do not exist in this world. Sometimes he even doubts if he's wearing a fake you. In my previous life, I was able to barely make a living through live streaming. It's better now. Directly became an unemployed wanderer. Ding, the host is about to run out of money. The cyber terminator system is starting to bind at this moment. An inexplicable mechanical sound rang out from his mind. The voice was not loud, but in Chen Xuan's ears it was like thunder. I listened very attentively. System. Before Chen Xuan could react, a semi-transparent panel had already appeared in front of him out of thin air. Various information is listed above. Host. Chen Xuan, identity. Unemployed nomad, existing employees. 0. Company layout. None, redemption points. 0. This system is committed to helping hosts establish a cyberpunk-style commercial empire, monopolizing various industries. Hosts can receive corresponding rewards for expanding or completing system tasks. Please make a preliminary selection from the following company templates. Trauma Group, Military Technology, Arizaka Group, Kanto Group, Kalusi Optics, Dongyue Electronics, Kendachi, Zetatech, Knight Group. In an instant, more than 10 options appeared in front of Chen Xuan. Looking at the company name that appeared in front of him, Chen Xuan was taken aback. Are these all big companies in Cyberpunk? As a former single-player game anchor, Chen Xuan is not unfamiliar with the Cyberpunk game and is also very familiar with the company name that appears in front of him. All belong to large groups in Cyberpunk games. For example, this trauma group, also known as a trauma organization, is composed of medical personnel who have undergone professional combat training, mainly responsible for protecting customers from harm, similar to security work. Military Technology Group, also known as Militech, is the largest manufacturer of weapons and weapon vehicles in the gaming world. The main business scope of Knight Group is a group dedicated to public construction. All belong to the end producers who monopolize the entire industry. System, if you have selected a company template, do you want to create a similar company? Chen Xuan asked with some confusion. That's right. After the host selects the company template, the system will help the host establish the company. The host needs to complete various tasks of the system, ultimately completing the industry monopoly and becoming the final producer. The system provides a positive answer. Although Chen Xuan was mentally prepared when he saw these company names, he was still shocked when he heard the system's response. In the game, the entire rulers of these larger groups are the top-level entities, who can easily control the survival of one or even several countries with their financial resources and respective technologies. If I could really establish this kind of monopoly group in reality, wouldn't I? Thinking of this, Chen Xuan's breathing was a bit rapid. System, I choose Trauma Group. After stabilizing his mind, Chen Xuan pointed his finger on the option of the Trauma Group. The reason why I first chose Trauma Group is because this cyberpunk company specializes in medical and personal security services. In the current market trend, medical care is undoubtedly the industry that attracts money the fastest. As Chen Xuan chose to complete it, the system panel in front of him immediately changed. Host: Chen Xuan, Identity. Founder of Trauma Group, Current Employees: 0, Own Trauma Team. 0 units, Asset. 352 yuan, Owned Industries. Currently unavailable, Monopoly Progress. 0%, Redemption Points. 0, looking at the personal panel in front of me. The information above is relatively simple and easy to understand. It is worth noting that in addition to some normal asset information, there is also an option called Monopoly Progress. The current progress is 0%. Once it reaches 100%, the next enterprise template can be unlocked. At this moment, the system's prompt sound is coming again. Ding, company template selection completed, task function unlocked. The host can choose the task below, and completing the task below will earn corresponding rewards and increase monopoly progress. As the system prompt ended, a large number of tasks options appeared on the system panel in front of Chen Xuan. By completing various corporate tasks, you can receive various rewards and monopoly values. Chapter 2. Recruitment of Task Force 141, Seeking Flowers. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Recruitment of Task Force 141. Chen Xuan glanced at the task options roughly. Junior Task. 10 People Exhibition. Task Requirement. The number of employees should reach 10. Reward: 100 exchange points, capital of 1 million, monopoly value increased by 0.01%, intermediate task. Bronze Age, task requirement. Add a bronze trauma member, reward. One set of cutting-edge medical equipment, with a capital of 2 million yuan and a 0.08% increase in monopoly value, intermediate task. Silver glory, task requirement. Add a silver trauma member, reward. One hospital's real estate, with a capital of 10 million yuan and a 0.2% increase in monopoly value, a variety of tasks are dazzling. However, it mainly revolves around the basic business of the trauma group. Medical and personal security services. And most of them need to be completed in the name of the company. There are very few personal tasks. It seems that in order to receive rewards, the first thing is to have your own company. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully selecting the company template and receiving the beginner gift package. Would you like to open it? Novice gift package. Surprisingly, there is still this thing. Chen Xuan was a bit surprised, not expecting such benefits. Immediately, with a thought, I quickly opened the gift package. You have opened the beginner gift pack. A few lines of text prompts suddenly appeared in front of him. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 separation chips. Separation chips can detect the user's physical condition at any time and have positioning function. A trauma team summoning card can randomly summon a 6-member trauma team. Initial funding 1 million, emergency medical machine. 10 sets, obtaining redemption points. 100 points, the system's prompt sound disappeared, and Chen Xuan's phone also vibrated below. It's a text message. Above is a transfer record. Huaxia Bank. Your company account 1441 received a transfer of 1 million yuan on July 6, 3252, with a current balance of 1 million yuan. At the same time, a silver white card also appeared in Chen Xuan's hand, which was the trauma team summoning card rewarded by the system. As for the emergency medical machine and separation chip, as Chen Xuan has not yet officially established a company, they can only be temporarily stored in the system backpack and cannot be removed. Looking at the receipt of 1 million yuan in funds and various equipment rewards, Chen Xuan feels like he's dreaming. Suddenly being hit by such a big pie is a bit unbelievable. Then, his gaze fell on the summoning card issued by the system. According to the comments above, you can randomly summon a 6-person trauma team after use. Jingzhou Company has no employees. This card came in time. System, I want to use a random summoning card. Ding dong, the host uses a random summoning card. Congratulations to the host for successfully summoning Task Force 141. The cold mechanical sound of the system echoed again in Chen Xuan's mind. Task Force 141. Isn't this the elite task force in Call of Duty? After hearing this name, Chen Xuan was taken aback. He didn't expect that the Cyberpunk system could still summon characters for the Call of Duty. He originally thought that at most, it would summon members of the trauma squad in Cyberpunk. She never expected her luck to be so good that she could summon such a top-notch special task force. As an old fan of Call of Duty, he naturally knows about the powerful special forces of 141. The members inside are definitely the elites among the elites. It can be said that if any member of Task Force 141 is selected, even in the face of other soldiers who are also special forces, they can still fight one enemy against 10. Task Force 141 is heading to the host's location. The prompt has just ended. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the talent market. Everyone is pointing towards the direction outside the door. I'll go. Look, there are so many foreigners. These guys are so muscular. Athletes. No, they look more like veterans in their eyes. People like them who have been on the battlefield cannot hide their temperament. When will I have such a body full of tendons and flesh? This car is really handsome. What's its name? Mustang, isn't it? That's really a Hummer. These people seem to be heading this way, right? What are they doing in the talent market? Are they also looking for jobs? Chen Xuan also approached curiously. Only outside the talent market. I don't know when two military Humvees stopped. The car door opens. A few sturdy foreigners walked out from inside. Walking rapidly towards the hall of the talent market. The leader is a middle-aged man with a beard, a bikini hat, and a cigar in his mouth. It is exactly the same as the money team in the game, Call of Duty, played by Chen Xuan in the previous life. And behind him are Soap with dry short hair, as well as ghosts and others wearing masks. A group of people walked into the talent market. I looked around for it. Quickly looked towards Chen Xuan's side. Xian led the crowd to Chen Xuan. A straight military salute was given. Boss. Task Force 141 has assembled. Please indicate. Chapter 3. Can you protect me, Mama? Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Can you protect me, Mama? What situation? The scene before me made those who were still watching the excitement look questioning. These strong and muscular men with a face full of flesh. How could you be so respectful to a young person? And also call it boss? What is this all about? Especially the recruiters from the companies that Chen Xuan applied for just now. He looked even more bewildered. That young man just came here to apply for a job. How did you become the boss in the blink of an eye? And how do these people look like bodyguards? That introverted temperament combined with a body full of tendons and flesh, is it difficult for this young man to be a hidden wealthy second generation? And on Chen Xuan's side. His gaze turned towards the 6 people and swept them one by one. Money team, Ghost, Soap, Xiaoqiang, Nicholas, and Yuri. Most of the core members of Task Force 141 have arrived. And it's no different from everyone in the game. Sure enough, the products produced by the system must be top-notch, and the 141 Special Task Force members summoned are all the strongest elite team members. Because it is personnel dispatched by the system. So everyone is absolutely loyal to Chen Xuan. Looking at the group of elite soldiers and strong generals in front of me. Chen Xuan nodded in satisfaction. The personnel are now ready. The initial funds have also been received. You can start the next plan now. To expand the company's scale, the first step is to have visibility. So the top priority now is to do publicity and spread the word. The simplest and most effective way to gain popularity is through advertising. It's just right to use this initial funding. Bring a corporate promotion. Strive to attract more customers. Let's get the first batch of funds and rewards first. Let's go to the nearest advertising company. Received. So. Under the stunned gaze of everyone in the talent market. Chen Xuan led everyone to ride in a Hummer. Escape from the dust all the way. A few hours later. Yungang City, a high-end residential area. A little girl who looks around 4 or 5 years old is lying on the soft sofa, holding her mother's phone and scrolling through videos. Not far away, a beautiful-looking woman with short and capable hair was standing in the kitchen cooking. And on the hanger in the living room. A military uniform and regular uniform were hanging upright. The shoulder badge is prominently the emblem of the Wolfang Special Operations Base. Heart, Mom has prepared dinner for you in advance. Remember to eat it yourself when it's time. Mom's base has a mission tonight, so she may not come back to accompany you. Don't run out of the house randomly. The woman said to the living room as she served the freshly prepared food. Her name is Enron. Served in the Wolfang Special Operations Brigade, serving as a temporary chief of staff. And on the sofa is her daughter. Anshin. Her reassuring biological parents were once her comrades in arms. But unexpectedly sacrificed in a mission. So Enron adopted the lonely and helpless Anshin over. However, due to the frequent need to carry out tasks, Enran has limited time to spend with her daughter at home. Fortunately, Anshin is very sensible. Although only over 4 years old. But he already knows how to take care of himself. Tomorrow, the Wolf Teeth Special Operations Brigade has a secret mission. Prepare to crack down on a large criminal group in the city. Capture the main members. And Enran needs to cooperate with the military's actions as an undercover investigator. The preliminary undercover work has been completed. Now she is the female secretary of the leader of the criminal group. And has already gained the trust of the other party. For this reason, Enran has been lurking for half a year. Tomorrow is the day to close the internet. At that time, criminal groups will conduct transactions in an abandoned villa area indoors. All key personnel will be present. This is a once-in-a-lifetime capture opportunity. The victory or defeat lies in this one move. I know now, Mom. The reassuring voice on the sofa echoed, with a pair of bright big eyes that were very lively. However, a hint of melancholy appeared on her immature face at this moment. She knew that Enran wouldn't come back at night, indicating that she must be going to carry out the task. Her parents also told her before that they were going to carry out tasks. And then he never came back. So I don't want this new mother to be in danger. Hey. The reassuring little ghost let out a big sigh. Although she has a heart to protect her mother. But after all, I am a child. Apart from being a good baby and not causing any trouble. I'm afraid there's nothing else to do. Rest assured and continue to watch the video absent-mindedly. Suddenly, a junk ad window popped up on the phone screen. The little girl was about to click close, but her gaze was drawn to the text above. She is not very old, and she cannot recognize all her words. I can only recognize the words on it. Protect your family security injury insurance phone number. 135124. When the little girl saw the 4 words, protecting her family, her big eyes were already full of vibrant energy. With a limited vocabulary. Anshin barely understood the meaning on the advertisement. The advertisement says that after purchasing insurance, you can protect your family. In that case, can we ask these people to protect our mother? I glanced at the direction of the kitchen with peace of mind. Seeing Enran finish her meal, I really want to take a shower. He picked up the phone and started dialing the number on the advertisement. Even if you spend all your pocket money, you still need to protect your mother's safety. Chapter 4. Opening rewards. Seeking flowers. Seeking reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Opening rewards. At the same time. In an office building in the suburbs of Yungang. Chen Xuan lay on the desk in the office, his head propped up in a daze, his eyes almost closed. This is an office he just rented. Used as the headquarters of the trauma group. Although the area is not large, it is already sufficient in the early stage. After the business expands and the funds are sufficient, we will switch to a larger office. But the problem now is. The hardware facilities are all complete, but there is no customer consultation. Just now he contacted several advertising companies. Spended over 100,000 yuan on advertising expenses. But there was no response. These advertisements are like sinking into the sea. Not even a water flower. Later, Chen Xuan even launched promotional activities. The top 10 customers who purchase Trauma Group security services. You can try it for free. But there was still no response. He has been waiting in front of the phone for an entire afternoon, and surprisingly, there is not even a person calling for consultation. But that's no wonder. After all, the operation mode of purchasing trauma insurance is still too advanced for the current world. Especially in countries like China that are relatively stable. The probability of encountering danger is indeed relatively small. The demand for trauma insurance has naturally decreased significantly. This made Chen Xuan couldn't help but mutter in his heart. If there are no customers like this all the time, the next step is to expand our overseas business. At this moment, ding-ling-ling. The red phone in front of Chen Xuan, which had been quiet all afternoon, suddenly rang with a tinkling sound. The sudden sound startled Chen Xuan and he quickly straightened up. Telephone. Are you doing business? Chen Xuan patted his cheek to make himself as clear as possible, then picked up the phone and spoke in what he considered to be the most professional business. Welcome to Call Trauma Security Company. May I help you? After waiting for an afternoon, Chen Xuan finally found a customer who was calling, and he didn't want to let it go. However, when he heard the voice on the other end of the phone, the newly ignited passion was instantly extinguished. On the other end of the conversation, a milky girl's voice Nono said. Hello uncle. Children. After hearing the sound, Chen Xuan was momentarily taken aback. I'm afraid this is not a prank phone call. He sighed and could only ask with a bitter smile. Child, did you call the wrong number? No. I just dialed the phone number above. The innocent answer of the little girl with a milky voice. What are you calling uncle for, kid? Chen Xuan was not in a hurry to hang up the phone. Anyway, he would just pass the time when he was idle and bored, and the sound of the little girl's voice was very pleasant. Protect mom. The little girl on the other end of the phone spoke excitedly, and her voice couldn't help but rise a bit. Protecting mom. After hearing the little girl on the phone, Chen Xuan was taken aback. Yeah, mom is going to do something very dangerous in a few days. The Luan family wants to protect mom. The little girl continued speaking innocently without feeling anything wrong. And Chen Xuan also blinked, although the little girl's words were mostly childlike, such a young girl knows what danger is. But if I accept the little girl's request, does it also count as completing the task? Anyway, the task stated that as long as the security and rescue tasks are completed once, there is no other regulation. But uncle, I don't have much money in my heart. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 in my heart's piggy bank. Before Chen Xuan could speak, the voice of the little girl and the sound of coins colliding continued to come from the other end of the phone. Chen Xuan was amused by the innocent and lovely behavior of the little girl, and immediately spoke up. It's okay, the top 10 users can enjoy our company's security and rescue services for free once, without spending any money. All visitors are guests. Chen Xuan did not conceal the matter of the opening remuneration. Just let the little girl help you complete a task. Mutual benefit. Ah. Really, uncle. You're really a great person. The little girl's voice filled with surprises came from the other end of the phone. Children, tell your uncle your current address and he will send you a sticker. As long as your mother sticks that sticker with her, uncle can send someone to protect your mother. Chen Xuan came to the address of the little girl's house, which is a residential area in the city. If it's local express delivery, it won't take an hour to deliver. Then he briefly introduced the usage of the separation chip to the little girl before hanging up the phone. Subsequently, Chen Xuan then contacted local express delivery. Hang an urgent package and ask the other party to send the detection chip as soon as possible. After completing the first transaction, Chen Xuan took a deep breath. It seems that doing business is not an easy task. As the old saying goes, the beginning of everything is difficult. You're really not deceiving me. But with the first step, the rest of the matter will be much easier to handle. Career always takes one step at a time. Anyway, Chen Xuan has plenty of time. Don't rush for a moment. Chapter 5. This is a safety symbol, be sure to wear it well. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. This is a safety symbol, be sure to wear it well. After hanging up the phone, the little girl sat enthusiastically on the sofa, her gaze occasionally shifting to the door and then to the time on her phone. That kind uncle just told her that it won't be long before he can send the sticker to protect his mother. After an unknown amount of time, the little girl sitting on the sofa was yawning and almost falling asleep. Finally, there was a knocking on the door outside. Dong 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 dong. The little girl, who had just been drowsy, suddenly regained her energy and quickly ran outside with wide eyes. Sure enough, a local courier was standing outside the house, holding a small package in his hand. Heart, who is it? Anran also heard a knock on the door, and by this time she had already changed clothes in the bedroom and was ready to go out. Who will come to their own house so late? Mom, is the courier uncle. The little girl raised the package in her hand and walked into the room with a smile on her face. Express delivery. Anran frowned slightly. I haven't bought anything lately. However, before Anran could figure it out, the little girl had already opened the package. In the fist-sized package, there is only one sticker-like item. The whole body is black in ink, with a shape similar to X, but with an additional vertical line in the middle, and 4 bright silver characters written in the center of X. Trauma Group. This kid is very conspicuous under the reflection of the light. The little girl saw the items in the package and immediately smiled, picked up the sticker and ran towards her mother. Heart, is this what you bought? Anran looked at her daughter in surprise. The little girl had already learned how to shop online at a young age. That's right. The little girl nodded heavily, with a serious expression on her face. And then it was like donating a treasure, handed to Enron's palm. Mom, take it on. Heart, what is this? Anran didn't understand her daughter's wild ideas. She took the strangely shaped sticker and looked left and right, but didn't notice any clues. It's like a small toy that can be easily purchased online. The little girl first chuckled, then leaned into Anran's ear and spoke mysteriously. Mom secretly told you that this sticker can protect your safety. Upon hearing the little girl's words, Anran couldn't help but smile and patted her head. This silly girl must have been deceived online. But she didn't expose it either, smiling and hanging the sticker on her wrist. Anyway, it's also a little girl's heart. I can't let the little girl down. At that time, the little girl gave her a safety token. However, Anran did not believe what the little girl said to protect herself. Ding, recognition successful, vital signs automatically entered. At this moment, as soon as the sticker was placed on Enron's fair wrist, the sound of artificial intelligence emanated from the sticker, similar to the sound of emotionless machines. Anran frowned slightly and looked at the strange sticker on her wrist. This toy is quite advanced, how can it make a sound? After carefully observing the sticker on her wrist for a moment and not noticing anything unusual, Anran stopped paying attention. The little girl felt relieved when she saw her mother putting on that sticker. Yawning, he walked towards his small bedroom. However, as she walked into the bedroom, the little girl still didn't worry and couldn't help but turn her head to remind her. Mom, my heart is going to sleep. That sticker, don't take it off, got it, go to sleep now. I still have to go to school tomorrow. Anran doted on a smile and waved at the little girl. Although this sticker may seem childish, it is still a heartfelt gesture from my daughter. She certainly wouldn't pick it off casually. After watching the little girl enter her small bedroom, Anran hurriedly went downstairs. A taxi had been waiting downstairs at her house for a long time. Just got on the car. The taxi driver whispered a greeting. Chief of Staff and... Anran nodded slightly. Because this was a secret operation, the military did not send any military vehicles to pick it up. But let the people at the Special Operations Base disguise themselves as taxi drivers waiting here. Let's go, it's getting late, go to the Special Operations Base first. P.S. This book is a bit bleak. I don't know if everyone is interested in this topic. If you're interested, vote for Free Flower Reviews. so that I can give this little street thug a little update motivation. Thank you to all readers. Chapter 6. Success Only, No Failure, Seeking Fresh. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Success Only, No Failure. More than 10 minutes later. Yungang City, Langya Special Operations Base. In the darkness, a taxi slowly drove into the base. 2 soldiers holding firearms stood guard without any intention of obstruction. Within the command center of the base, several officers in military uniforms with serious faces sat quietly on chairs, staring at the huge electronic display screen hanging on the wall in front of them. In front of several people, a middle-aged man with graying temples turned his back to the electronic screen, his expression serious, and he was closing his eyes to rest. Report, come in. Upon hearing Enron's voice, the middle-aged man opened his eyes, but did not look up at Enron standing at the entrance of the command center. There seems to be an innate dignity in the man's voice. After opening his eyes, there was no expression on that dark face. However, perhaps after years of military service, even though the middle-aged man had no expression on his face, he still appeared calm and intimidating to outsiders. This person is the leader of the People's Congress, He Jijun, who is in charge of the Yungang Langya Special Operations Base. Find a place to sit down. The meeting has officially begun. Tomorrow is the day for the net collection operation, and for safety reasons, He Jijun has secretly recalled Enron to discuss tomorrow's combat plan. Enron, our tentative battle plan for tomorrow is as follows. Please listen. If there is anything inappropriate, we will try our best to make changes. He Jijun spoke up, and a real-life map appeared prominently on the display screen. It is the trading place of the 2 suspects tomorrow. Lei Zhan, as the commander of this operation, could you please provide a detailed introduction to the plan for this operation? He Jijun spoke to the officer in front of him with an inch head and ordered. Han Zi is the captain of a Special Forces team at the Wolfang Special Forces Base, named Lei Zhan. However, unlike ordinary Special Forces teams, the Thunder God Special Forces team led by Lei Zhan is the most powerful Special Forces team in the entire Wolfang Special Forces Base. Even the Thunder God Special Operations Team is a well-known special operations team throughout the entire South China Special Operations Brigade. Every soldier is carefully selected and belongs to the elite among the elites. The deployment of the Thunder God Special Brigade by He Jijun in this mission shows how much he values this operation. Upon hearing He Jijun's order, Lei Zhan didn't hesitate and immediately stood up and walked to the screen. According to the information obtained by Chief of Staff, tomorrow Boss Liu will be trading with another group of overseas criminals here. After our investigators' investigation today, we found that this area has been secretly occupied by that group of foreign armed forces. Surrounded by bright and hidden whistles. In order not to startle the snake, our investigators did not approach recklessly. But after speculation, the specific trading location for this time should be here. Lei Zhan pointed his finger towards the center of the large screen, and through the real map, he could vaguely see the residential area. This used to be a villa area, but it was later abandoned. Based on our speculation, the specific transaction location for this time is within this abandoned villa area. The villa is surrounded by an excellent geographical location, making it easy to defend but difficult to attack. To the north, there are many dense forests and mountains, which are not suitable for helicopter landing. To the east, there is a cliff, which is even more unfavorable for landing. To the west, there is a large lake surrounded by numerous swamps. Only the southern terrain is relatively flat. Therefore, there are also the most visible and hidden outposts in the south, and this group of armed forces has a large number of people. It is not easy to launch a frontal attack. Lei Zhan only briefly introduced the geographical environment around the villa, and several staff officers in the command center began to frown. If the suspect really chooses this abandoned villa area that is easy to defend and difficult to attack as the trading place, it is really not easy for their special operations team to directly force attack. However, there was not much change in the expression on He Jijun's face as he sat in the first place. He listened quietly as Lei Zhan continued to explain his battle plan. These issues may seem quite troublesome to other units, but they are not a big problem for the Thor squadron. Lei Zhan and the Thunder God Special Operations team he led are the ace troops of their Special Operations base, and they cannot be difficult to solve with this small problem. Sure enough, after simply explaining the geographical environment, Lei Zhan directly stated his action plan. This time we will face two criminal organizations at the same time, both of which are armed forces. So I plan to request the assistance of the armed police. They don't need to do anything too dangerous, just guard the road south. No criminal is allowed to abscond. Lei Zhan first pointed to the south as a road intersection, and then to the west as the Great Lake. And I will parachute with most of the members of the Thor Special Forces team from here, secretly sneaking around the villa before Chief of Staff arrives. A small number of Special Operations personnel were directly parachuted into the deep forests in the north as ambushes. Prevent criminals from entering deep mountains and escaping from the border. Finally, Lei Zhan was concise, and it only took about 5 minutes to describe his combat deployment. Without consulting with He Jijun, he silently reappeared and walked towards his seat. Chief of Staff, after listening to the operational deployment of the mine team, do you have any suggestions? He Jijun turned his gaze to Enran, who had been silent all along, and asked. As an undercover agent this time, He Jijun will call back Enran. The first thing is to make Enran clear about the overall combat deployment. To avoid any coordination errors between Enran and the Thunder Special Forces during formal operations, resulting in unnecessary casualties. The second one is to let Enran help refine this combat deployment. After all, Enran's undercover agents have been with Mr. Liu for a long time, and they have a better understanding of Mr. Liu's personality and habits. Captain, I have no objection to the operational deployment of the Lei team. But I need to remind Team Lei that Mr. Liu only brought a few bodyguards for the transaction this time, which is a bit abnormal. If possible, I hope Lei's team can directly kill Mr. Liu to avoid long dreams at night. Okay, I got it. Lei Zhan glanced at Enran and responded with a deep voice. After seeing no further objections from the crowd, He Jijun stood up and saluted the people across from him. Tomorrow's mission is very dangerous, and I have only one requirement for you. Success is only allowed, failure is not allowed. Do you understand? Everyone quickly saluted and said in unison. Understood. Chapter 7. Start of Action, Seeking Flowers. Seeking Evaluation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Start of Action. The next day. Yungang City. A convoy of 3 black sedans drove rapidly out of the city and headed towards the suburbs. In one of the cars, a chubby man was leaning against the back of the rear seat, closing his eyes slightly as if he was trying to concentrate. Beside him, a woman with short hair breathed steadily and remained expressionless, quietly gazing out the car window at the constantly receding scenery. I don't know what I'm thinking. The woman is Anran, who is engaged in undercover missions. The plump man beside her, who seemed to have fallen asleep with his eyes closed, was an important target for the military's arrest in this operation. Lu Laocheng, chairman of Yuding Group, the largest foreign trade group in Yungang City. Enran, have you arranged the transportation route for this batch of weapons traded with the bald guys and their group of Burmese northern traffickers this time? 3 cars had just driven out of the city when Mr. Liu, who seemed to be asleep sitting next to Enran, suddenly spoke coldly. However, the posture that Mr. Liu relied on remained unchanged, and he didn't even open his eyes to take a look at Enran. Enran's gaze shifted back from outside the window, his expression still cold and his tone still calm. Boss, rest assured. Everything has been arranged properly. Enron has become accustomed to Mr. Lu's sudden QA and is able to handle it with ease. Oh. Mr. Lu let out a faint sigh, as if he had just casually inquired, and he didn't pay any attention. However, Enron knew very well in her heart that it was just Mr. Lu's probing. Boss Lu is naturally suspicious. During her undercover period, she has gone through hundreds of trials, big and small. There are countless language tests like this. Along the way, the speed of the car was extremely fast. In just an hour and a half, several black cars had arrived at the outskirts of the dense forest called Tashan. The tower is located on the outskirts of Yungang City, near the border of China, in a remote and sparsely populated area. Apart from the mountain people who have lived here for generations, few outsiders come here. And the trading location chosen by Mr. Lu and the other party is exactly as the military speculates. It is located in an abandoned villa area on the outskirts of Tashan. The terrain is steep, surrounded by dense forests, and there is only one road to climb the mountain. Just a few minutes away from the abandoned villa, the car suddenly stopped. Boss Lu took out a black storage box from beside him. Without the need for Mr. Lu to say anything more, Enron and the driver ahead consciously put their phones, smartwatches, and even necklaces in the storage box. Boss Lu's plump face pulled out a smile, and he chuckled twice without any embarrassment. I just understood the rules when I officially participated in the transaction for the first time. You don't have to mind either. It's not targeted at you. We're all doing shady business, so we have to be careful. Perhaps a big deal is about to be completed, and Mr. Lu is in a good mood. It's rare for him to explain a few more words to Enron. Upon hearing this, Enron didn't say much and nodded with an unchanged expression, his expression no different from usual. Boss Lu is naturally suspicious. If he doesn't demand to hand in his phone, then she will find it suspicious. At this moment, two men wearing black masks and green camouflage suits also emerged from the jungle on both sides of the road. I can't see my face clearly, but everyone holds an automatic rifle in their hand. Mr. Lu opened the car window and didn't say much, just handed the black storage box to one of them. The person wearing a mask clearly knew Mr. Lu and didn't let a few people get off the car for a body search. He put away his storage box and let the convoy continue to pass. At the same time, in the dense forest to the west of the villa, several armed helicopters quietly entered the airspace. Lei Zhan, whose face was covered in oil paint, sat on one of the armed helicopters and looked coldly at the villa area in the distance. The goal of this mission is almost to enter the mountain. Captain, the western region has completed its final reconnaissance. No ambush was found below. Captain, the northern region has also completed its final reconnaissance. No ambush found. The voice of the Thunderbolt team members came from the walkie-talkie. Lei Zhan looked at the time on his watch, took a deep breath, and then coldly ordered in his voice. Attention everyone, land. Follow the plan. Above the lake, several armed helicopters began to descend in unison after the command of the mine battle. The strong gust of wind caused ripples to form on the lake's surface, and the helicopter hovered at an altitude of 4 or 5 meters from the lake's surface. Thick ropes were thrown down from the armed helicopter one by one, and Lei Zhan was the first to wear his equipment and slide down the ropes. The descent speed is uniform, making it easy to slide into the water. As soon as he entered the water, Lei Zhan dived directly, his figure submerged in the lake. The other Thunder Special Forces team members also slid down the thick rope one after another, like dumplings being cooked in a pot. At the same time, over the deep mountains in the north, parachutes were opened one by one and ultimately fell into the mountains and forests. This is the battle plan that was reformulated after everyone's discussion last night. Two-pronged approach, infiltrating from both the west and north. And on the only downhill road in the south, a large number of border troops are already rushing towards this direction. A big net slowly unfolds. Chapter 8. Surprisingly it's you. Seeking flowers. Seeking reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Surprisingly it's you. In the suburbs of Yungang City, in a high mountain near the border. 3 black cars are parked in front of an abandoned villa. The villa was surrounded by masked men holding weapons, and a bald man stood in front of the villa. Boss Lu, Boss Lu. Long time no see. The bald man spoke poor Chinese and personally opened the door for Mr. Lu. Boss Lu changed the coldness in the car and greeted him fluently after getting off. After the two shook hands briefly, the bald man then shifted his gaze to Enran, who got off the car with Mr. Lu. Boss Lu, who is this young lady? Mr. Lu smiled as he looked at Enran walking behind him and introduced himself. Her name is Enran, and now she's my right-hand man. She is basically responsible for some small matters in the company. Bringing her out this time can be considered as seeing the world. Don't mind, bro. Oh, in Mr. Lu's eyes, I'm a bald guy who dares to mind. Miss and can be referred to as the right-hand man by Mr. Lu. That's truly remarkable. The bald man smiled twice and then looked at Enran, eagerly flattering him. However, for the bald man's praise, Enran only smiled politely and still stood behind Mr. Lu without saying much. The two of them chatted briefly and walked towards the villa. Enran quietly followed behind Mr. Lu, watching his back with the bald guy, his gaze slightly cold, his fingers seemingly unintentionally rubbing against the diamond ring on them. Intentionally or unintentionally, his gaze glanced towards the towering dense forest. The members of the Thunderbolt team should have already laid an ambush at the designated location. At this point, on the outskirts of the villa, Lei Zhan and the Thunder God Special Forces team members who were secretly lurking around the villa received information from Enran at the same time. Captain, the Falcon has arrived at the designated location and has detected the target. It can be fired at any time. Captain, the third team has arrived at the designated location and discovered Chief of Staff and, Captain, the first team has reached the designated location. Captain, the armed police have completely surrounded Tashan. Upon hearing the last team arrive at the designated location, Lei Zhan took a deep breath and looked coldly at Mr. Lu, who was walking towards the interior of the villa. Ling Ran said. Take action. The pitch-black barrel of the gun, which had been glimpsed by Enran's residual light before, slowly extended out of the dense forest. The sniper, covered in oil paint and with grass on his head, placed his eyes on the sight. With the command of the lightning battle, the sniper did not hesitate and immediately pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet is fired, and the target is Mr. Lu and the bald guy accompanying him. Enran was behind Mr. Lu and the others, but his body had intentionally or unintentionally moved a little distance to facilitate the sniper's shooting. Bang! The bald guy next to Boss Lu's head exploded and was pierced by a bullet, dying to the point of death. Enemy attack. Pay attention to concealment. Enemy attack. With the first sound of gunfire, the mercenaries around discovered the enemies hidden around the villa. Boss Lu also reacted quickly and quickly dodged behind the car, refusing to give the sniper a second chance to shoot. He pulled out his pistol and didn't forget to spit fiercely at the body still bleeding on the side. These guys came prepared. Either our group should have an undercover agent, or this useless subordinate has an undercover agent. Boss, what should we do now? Several bodyguards who came to trade with Mr. Lu gathered around him, holding pistols and looking around cautiously. The current situation is very bad, with the Chinese military emerging from nowhere all around. The mercenaries led by the bald man were beaten and retreated by the Chinese military as soon as they fought. And the bald guy has already died. This group of people is leaderless and has no intention of continuing the battle. Looking at the posture, in just a few minutes, they will be beaten by the Chinese army in surrender with their hands raised. Find an opportunity to break through. Spending so much time here is just waiting to die. Brothers, let the bald man's miscellaneous fish attract the attention of the Chinese military later, and we will secretly break out towards the east. Mr. Lu's gaze turned towards the empty villa to the east, where there was a dense forest. Entering that forest, one could avoid snipers lurking in the shadows. The bodyguards around also looked towards the dense forest in the east. If I remember correctly, deep in the forest was a cliff, as if there was no escape route. But at such times, they absolutely dare not question Mr. Lu's decision. There may not be a way to survive in that dense forest, but staying here will undoubtedly lead to death. Anren hid behind everyone, looking at Mr. Lu, who had already stood up and was about to leave, as well as those bodyguards, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. This time, we must not let Mr. Lu run away. When no one was paying attention, Anren found a pistol from the nearby corpse and slowly lifted it up. Bang 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 bang, a series of gunshots sounded, incredibly clear. I saw several bodyguards surrounded by Mr. Lu, who had already been hit by bullets and collapsed with a loud bang. Mr. Lu, who had just stood up and was about to escape, immediately stopped his figure. A pitch-black barrel was already pressing against the back of his head at some point. "Don't run, you have already been arrested." Boss Lu slowly turned his head and looked at the woman behind him in shock. "Surprisingly, it's you." Chapter 9. Falling into a trap. Seeking flowers. Seeking reviews. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Falling into a trap. Boss Lu slowly turned his head and looked at the woman in front of him with a fierce and shocked gaze. He never expected that the woman he believed to be the most loyal would be an undercover agent. "Lu Laocheng, don't make meaningless resistance, raise your hand to surrender, there is still a way out." Anren Ling Ren drank coldly, his face still expressionless, but he looked even colder. She has been undercover under Mr. Lu for so long, in order to gain his trust, but she has personally witnessed the dirty things Mr. Lu has done. Mr. Lu squinted his eyes, his already small ones quickly forming a line, and he looked at Anren with a cold, venomous snake-like gaze. "Life path. If I surrender, can I survive?" Boss Lu retorted, with a more sinister expression on his face. The two most ruthless people in his life, the first traitor and the second undercover agent. "Squat down. Hold your head in both hands." Even though Enron had already pinned the pistol to Mr. Lu's head, he did not relax his guard at all. Faced with criminals like Mr. Lu, one cannot take it lightly without seeing him handcuffed with their own eyes. Boss Lu slowly lowered his head, as if he had accepted his fate, and squatted down slowly. However, just as he squatted down, his sinister and ruthless expression towards Enron suddenly changed. I pursed the corners of my mouth, as if showing a cold smile, and my eyes were also a bit playful. "Enron, after staying by my side for so long, it seems that you still don't understand me." Seeing Mr. Lu's expression, Anren was taken aback. For some reason, she suddenly had a premonition in her heart that something was not going well. Just before she could think more, just as Mr. Lu's words fell, a gunshot came from behind her. Bang! Anren instinctively took a step to the right, and the bullet that could have pierced her heart passed through her left shoulder without directly killing her. Bang bang bang! In the dense forest to the east, there suddenly appeared many black-clothed men with heavy machine guns, who were not in the same group as the mercenaries under the bald man's command. Mr. Lu breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that his subordinates had finally arrived. He quickly got up without further entanglement with Anren and turned to run towards the dense forest to the east. Since he dares to bring a few people to the bald man's headquarters, he is naturally well prepared. He prepared in advance both the escape route and the subordinates who came to pick him up. As early as a few days ago, it had been secretly hidden at the eastern cliff, where several small helicopters were hidden. Otherwise, do you really think he's not afraid of eating black? Just foolishly bringing a few bodyguards to the bald guy's territory to discuss business. Anren covered her bleeding shoulder with one hand and deftly flipped over to hide behind the car. However, at this moment, her eyes were anxious and she didn't even care about the bleeding wound on her shoulder. Boss Lu is about to run into the dense forest. This place is only a few kilometers away from the Chinese border, and Enran is confident that Mr. Lu will definitely have a way to escape from here. If Mr. Lu really left the territory of China, it would be like releasing a tiger and returning to the mountains. It will not be easy to arrest Mr. Lu again. At this moment on the battlefield, due to the sudden appearance of the group of people, the mercenaries who were about to give up resistance picked up their weapons and fought again. And because the group of black-clad men had heavy firepower machine guns, some of the Thunder God's Special Operations team members who had already secured victory were suppressed. Unable to escape. Enran looked at the Thunder God Special Team on the battlefield, which could not escape, and then at Mr. Lu, who was about to enter the dense forest. His gaze became resolute. No matter what, we can't let this guy run away today. Tearing off his sleeve, he wrapped the wound on his shoulder with a piece of cloth, then picked up the dropped pistol and rolled over from behind the car. Suppressing the pain in his arm, he chased towards the direction where Mr. Lu was fleeing. Their special operations team has spent such a long time laying out, and we must not fail in the last minute. Enran ran away, completely focused on chasing Boss Lu, without noticing the black sticker stuck on her wrist, which now faintly emitted a red light. Especially the 4 small words, Trauma Group, on the stickers. At this moment, the color quietly changed. The two of them chased each other like this. Entered a dense forest. Although Enran is injured at this moment, his steps are a bit unsteady. But compared to Mr. Lu, who is full of brain fat, his speed is still slightly better. After more than 10 minutes, the two of them walked through the dense forest. There is an open area ahead. Moving forward is a cliff. At this moment, Mr. Lu suddenly stopped in his tracks. And there was actually a small helicopter next to him. Obviously, they are already prepared. Lu Laoqing, don't make meaningless resistance. The surroundings are already surrounded by us. Even if you get on the helicopter, you can't escape. Surrender obediently and strive for leniency. Enran held his gun in his right hand and looked at Mr. Lu standing on the edge of the cliff, his voice still cold. The piece of cloth at the wound on her left arm had been stained red with blood, which kept flowing down her arm. Surrender. It seems that you haven't figured out the current situation yet, Enran. Boss Lu completely lost his previous embarrassment and instead sneered at Enran. Then he waved towards the dense forests on both sides. Don't hide, come out now. Enran had a bad premonition upon hearing this. Dozens of mercenaries dressed in black walked out of the forest and quickly surrounded Enran. Disarm it. Watching Enran fall into a trap. Boss Lu showed a cruel smile on his face and slowly walked towards Enran. After being my secretary for so long, you should know who I dislike the most. Boss Lu walked up to Enran and spoke coldly. If it weren't for waiting for you and letting you know the cost of being an undercover agent by my side, I would have left here long ago. Do you really think that with you alone, you can catch me? Chapter 10. Mysterious Troops. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Mysterious Troops. Mr. Lu continued to smile, but his gaze towards Enran became increasingly cold. This business was originally highly valued by him. As long as you can make this deal, not only can you earn a lot of money, but you can also deepen your influence in Yungang. Therefore, he came to meet the bald man in person, who had not personally discussed business for many years. But after thousands of calculations, he didn't realize that a once good deal would be ruined by this stinky woman. Not only did the business fail, but even the bald guy died in the Chinese territory. Even this time he himself is going to leave his hometown, leave Yungang, and flee overseas. Damn it. As soon as he thought of this, Mr. Lu's face became even colder. A black-clad mercenary pulled out a pistol from his waist and aimed it at Enran. Enran, aren't you curious why there are so few traitors under my command? Today, I will tell you. Also, you don't have to think that those Chinese soldiers will come to save you. Boss Lu's eyes were fierce, as if he was about to shoot directly in the next moment. Anran, who was pressed to the ground, her face darkened as she could clearly hear the escalating sound of gunfire in the distance. The Thunderbolt team is clearly still engaged in battle with the opponent and cannot end the battle in the short term. It was my carelessness. I didn't expect that Boss Lu would secretly arrange so many mercenaries around the villa. Anran's eyes were a bit dim because of his intelligence mistake. Not only did he fail to successfully capture the criminal gang led by Mr. Lu, but he also fell into his trap. In the sky, Mr. Lu and others did not notice that a drone was hanging high above everyone's heads. Pop. Yungang City, Langya Special Operations Base Command Center. He Jijun's face was gloomy and solemn, staring at the picture on the big screen. The atmosphere in the command center was somewhat oppressive, and the staff and non-commissioned officers around were all gloomy, staring at the big screen in silence. He Jijun took a few deep breaths, suppressed his anger, and turned his head to speak to the liaison officer beside him. Contact Thor. Let the special forces go to rescue. Just as his orders had just been issued, the liaison officer had already said bitterly. Captain, I'm afraid the Thunder God special team cannot get away from it temporarily. Everyone was stunned when they heard this, and the liaison officer pointed to the large screen. The picture on the big screen was split in half, showing scenes of Thunder battle and members of the Thunder God Special Forces team. Still located around abandoned villas. Surprisingly, members of the Thunderbolt team were still engaged in fierce combat with those two groups of mercenaries. And it was also suppressed by powerful firepower, falling into a bitter battle. The group of black-clad mercenaries who suddenly appeared had significantly more seasoned combat experience and were equipped with more sophisticated weapons. Instantly disrupting the attack of the Special Forces team, and cooperating with the bald man's subordinates, he also temporarily suppressed the Special Forces team members and could only turn them into defenders. Members of the Special Forces team cannot escape at all. When he saw this sudden appearance on the screen, He Jijun's face turned pale with iron. The staff and officers behind him were even more furious in their hearts. What the hell is Lei Zhan doing? Can't even solve a group of mercenaries. It's been so long, the battle hasn't been resolved yet. There is still face to say that they are the ace troops of our base. Enough, everyone shut up. He Jijun let out a cold shout and squinted his eyes to look at both sides of the firefight. He was also full of anger in his heart, but he didn't complain too much about Lei Zhan. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that the group of mercenaries who were engaged in a battle with Thunder were superior in both numbers and weapons to the Thunder God Special Forces. The current strategy of shifting from attacking to defending in the Thunder battle is the best response at the moment. But in this way, the Thunder War and the Thunder God Special Team were dragged down by the other party, unable to timely carry out cliff rescue. Let the Black Cloud Special Forces and Lone Wolf Special Forces stationed at the base immediately rush for reinforcements. Also, order the armed police forces at the foot of the mountain to immediately forcefully attack the mountain and provide support. He Jijun's voice was hoarse, giving orders. After hearing He Jijun's order, everyone in the command center sighed in their hearts. The captain's command is currently the most correct command, but he couldn't save Enron from Boss Lu's hands at all. The only ones who can save Enron from the mercenaries like Mr. Lu are Lei Zhan and his Thunder God Special Team. The rest of the people, whether they are the armed police officers lurking at the foot of the mountain or the Special Forces team heading to Tashan for support, have no time at all. By the time they arrived at the cliff, Mr. Lu and his group had already fled by helicopter, probably crossing the border. With Mr. Lu's vengeful personality, facing the already exposed Enron, Mr. Lu will definitely not let her go. He Jijun silently took off his hat with a black face and lowered his head to no longer look at the screen. The other officers also silently took off their hats, and the atmosphere in the entire command center was suppressed to the extreme. A military officer in the corner with lifeless eyes lowered his head to look at the screen in front of him. Suddenly, he furrowed his brow and looked at the screen in front of him, wondering. Captain. The drone has discovered 2 military vehicles and is speeding towards Enron,